Welcome back to the Aviation RC Noob podcast. You found us. My name is Joe.
And I'm Matt.
We're here to be with you along your journey and to share our experiences in RC Aviation. If you have any questions, thoughts, or want to share a flight story, hit us up at aviationrcnoob@gmail.com. Now, buckle in. Let's take off. Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Aviation RC Noob podcast. My name is Joe.
And I'm Matt.
And this is episode 101. We're well into the triple digits now. So, guys, thank you so much for hanging with us all this time.
Yep. I think we're gonna call this one like, is this New Year 5 simple rules to getting in the hobby or something?
Yeah, I think that's what you had on the show notes. It's also our, 4-year anniversary now?
Yeah. So why don't we so if you're just starting here in this episode, welcome. If you want to know what we're going to talk about this episode, we're going to talk about 5 simple rules you need to keep in mind when you're getting started with this hobby. It's an amazing hobby. Joe has been in it for, 3 years now?
4.
4?
We started this podcast like 3 months after I...
No, it's like 5 years ago. Oh, my God. Anyway,
what year are we
we've been in it a while. 2020, isn't it? Right as COVID started.
Has it been 5 years?
Yeah, my God.
Oh.
I know. Yeah. So happy anniversary, by the way. Joe and I are going to talk about like what we usually what we're doing. We're going to talk about, there's a bunch of RC and full-scale aviation events. So we're going to kind of cover that, and then we'll go through these 5 rules. So stay tuned.
Okay.
And so without further ado, I guess let's get into. You want to start off with what we've been up to, or
Sure.
you want to talk about our? First of all, we have a giveaway.
Oh,
we have a
yes.
YouTube channel that we've kind of thrown all of our audio onto, and anytime we have a really like a guest, we'll almost always do a video recording and put any
especially
videos
these
or
days.
especially the latest couple. I mean, they're just chock full of information, and most of those have a lot of visuals that we need to really show you, right? So go to YouTube. If you didn't know we had one, go to YouTube, Aviationrcnoob, and look at those videos, especially the episode on aerodynamics that have a guest. They're excellent episodes. But in episode 100, we have a giveaway. Any one of the episode 100 videos, make a comment about what episode you'd like to see us do next. And you are then entered in for receiving a Gladiator from Windcatcher RC. It will be a short kit, so it'll have motor, it'll have the servos, and it'll have everything you need to do to build the wing as provided on Windcatcher RC's website there. And we'll pick one of the winners at random. Any of those people who made the comment, we'll put your name in the drawing, and then we'll pick a random name, and we'll give it to Lee over at Windcatcher RC, and he'll get it out to you. We already have one winner from the live event. If we have a Hank Flyer RC, I believe.
Hey, that's a name I know.
Yeah, because he is a lucky guy. He's won a number of our. He just happens to be the guy that shows up
Every time.
and the number lands on him. I don't know what it is, but he's a great guy, and he's been with our community for a while. I'm really pleased that he managed to win another RC plane. He's a young kid who's having a great time with it.
So the 2 points to what you were saying. One, you were bringing that up as a, hey, the comment rule is give us what you'd like to see us talk about or do next. Or
Yep. And you'll have basically to the end of February.
Okay, end of February.
So you still have a couple more weeks.
But I say that because we've had some comments on the video or on the videos, but the
they're thanking us for the content, but it's not telling us what they would love to see us do next. So
right,
they are not eligible.
Help us.
Help us help you have a great plane to fly.
The other part of that is also feel free to let us know what you think about that particular video format, because that was a long episode, a long conversation. And so, Matt, you decided to bust it up into some pieces for...
I could have busted up into 2 more, probably.
Probably.
Taking that last piece.
But, so you released each of those episodes spread apart, but then at the end of it, you released all of it in one video upload, right?
I'm about to finish. I'm getting the bookmarks set right.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I have it ready. I just need to get the bookmarks right.
Okay. So
that'll be releasing probably by the time this is released. That'll come out.
Okay. So
and it's the whole full Monty. All 3.5 or 4 hours.
Yeah. In the ideal moving forward, if we're going to bust them up like that, then also at the tail end there will be the whole episode released at one time for those who maybe don't want to watch just sectionals. But some of these conversations are big and deep and long, and not everybody's up for a 3.5 hour video.
No.
Yeah.
And YouTube certainly never likes them.
Now, me being a casual criminalist fan, love those 3.5 hour videos. But
I know, right? Yeah, I watch a Diary of a CEO on YouTube, and those are at least 2, if not more, and they're always good.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really care, but that's because I kind of do those while I'm working.
Yeah.
But all right, well, good. Well, why don't we kind of switch back and talk about what we've been doing over the last couple of weeks? I know you've had some big events, and I've had some forward movement on some things I wasn't expecting.
Oh.
We'll see.
Okay.
And then we can talk about our community, and we'll get into all the crazy aviation events. It has been a busy couple of weeks.
Yeah. So, for those who
what have you been up to, Joe?
may not have seen it in the Discord, I am now in Raleigh. Yay!
Yay! There was much rejoicing.
There was. So I'm up in Raleigh, which puts me an hour and a half closer to you, just on the other side.
You are literally 1 hour.
1 hour from you. So
1 hour.
now I ended up going in another direction from you, but it's still closer, so it'll be easier
like
for
you
us
said,
to
an
get
hour
together.
and a half closer. That's a simple weekend visit. Weekend day visit.
Not in a position to do a whole lot with the hobby here. We're in a small apartment, and so there's just no room. However,
Not entirely.
I can always go down to your place, but there's things that still need to be done on weekends before I can do that. But before I left town, I had a buddy coming over and giving me some help in the evenings, and we were just catching up. He's my old childhood friend. We go way back, and so we were just getting some good quality time together that we've not had for years as we were hanging in the evenings. And we had both done the 3D printing thing. He had had way more success and was way more dedicated to it than I was, and I had mentioned to him the woes of my Creality. And so the night before I was peeling out, he showed up on my doorstep and opened the door. I'm like, "Hey, bud," and he hands me a printer. And it was one of his used ones, but it's a Anycubic Cobra 2 Pro, I think it was.
Okay.
That thing,
Nice.
blisters when it prints, man.
It's a next gen model, right? Like
Yeah.
So the next gen is kind of punctuated by you don't need to do any bed setup. Generally speaking, it does all that, and then it's at least twice to 5 times faster than like you mentioned, the Creality Ender Pro or Ender 3 or whatever, that level,
And it's quiet.
which yeah,
it is.
they figured it all out now.
Yeah, it's quiet.
They decided to
is.
finally give it to everybody.
It is fast. Now, with anything, it has a fast, comfortable printing speed where it prints well, and then you can kick it into overdrive in your print settings, and then even within the printer, kick it into a sport mode. So you can go crazy fast, but you do start to see the effects of that in your print quality. But I've had no problems
those
with it.
those effects look like what my prints always used to look like. I looked at that going like, that's a good print. look at that print. That's a good print.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, no, that's a low end
Yeah.
nowadays.
Yeah. So I did get to do some playing with that. I don't really get to use it here because limited space. So I might be dropping that thing off at your place on my way back to Sumter this weekend so that you can...
If you do, you know I'm going to be using it. But hopefully we'll be using it for both of us.
Well, I will definitely send you some files.
Heck yeah.
And then you just got to mix them in between all the things you're doing.
No, but that's good because I've been looking at investing in the next gen, and it'll be good to kind of see one up close and see what it can do.
It's very nice. I will tell you, now granted, he put it through its paces, and I know he takes care of his equipment, but that thing, he hand carried it over to my place, carrying it by the top rail, set it up on my table, showed me how to do its calibration modes and all that, and we fired off. Print did great. It then got carried around, moved several times, loaded into the back of an SUV, driven 4 hours up to North Carolina, bumping and tossing along the way.
It just seemed like it kind of got thrown in the back, like, let's hope it won't mess that up, you know?
I was careful with it. I packed things around it, but yeah.
You're right. It wasn't just like thrown...
It also wasn't like packed
you did not look
up all nice and neat.
Yeah. It wasn't like padded and like especially like roped in so there was no jostling. Like, it's like, it'll be okay.
And I brought it in here and set it up on the side table, did the vibration test and the bed level and let it rip, and it nailed the first print. So I've been very impressed.
That blows my mind. That alone right there. I mean, that's half the battles that I've ever had with all of the 3D.
Oh, I didn't even have to adjust the Z offset.
No, I know. You just said
because normally when I do my bed level,
could
I
you
always
do
do
it?
the
And
piece
it's like
of paper and the.
Oh yeah, always right. Let me just check.
Nope. Nailed it.
Nope, not for you.
Nailed it. So
that impressed me, and then again, that made me. I was already kind of looking at like, well, where should I invest, and is it even worth doing? Everybody's kind of like, no, really, it is. But like watching yours, I'm like, okay, maybe. I think it may be time.
I got something you can be jelly of for once.
Heck yeah.
So, yes, nice printer. I've enjoyed the few things I got to print out of it. And that has spurred me to reactivate and dive back into a 3D model that I was working on quite some time ago and see if I can get it to a point of completion. And I'll be sending you some files periodically to print and test to see how they work. I do have Spitfire on standby to be my beta tester when it gets to that point, and I'm excited about that.
Well, you won't be like I've got a giant spool of, and that's part of what's been like kind of itching me this whole time is I've got like a 5 kilogram spool of lightweight PLA ready to print planes if my printers would just print. If they just...
Well, this one will print.
Just print the thing. So yeah, we'll have to see how they work, how they handle that kind of thing. Because it's a different... I don't know if they'll be able to go that fast. They might have to slow down to get the foaming action proper. But we'll find out. It'll be fun.
So the slicer has the presets for like lightweight PLA. And if you don't need it to blister in a run, and you're just fine with a fairly fast print, all things considered, just run the default settings.
Okay.
But it was a lot less going into settings and tweaking things than when I was doing the Creality in the I don't remember the name of the slicer I was using. Cura.
Whatever comes with it, right?
Yeah.
No, that one I think probably uses Cura.
Yeah.
Some of them have like Clipper.
No, it wasn't Clipper.
Which is kind of a whole suite. That's a whole, like the Vorons or whatever, and whatever their commercial version, they use Clipper, which is kind of a whole printing suite, and it'll have your webcam showing the thing. It'll have all the files. It'll do the print.
Yeah, this one's got the mount for it.
Right, but I mean, like that whole system is very much, set to do that, right? Like it's a whole suite that some of them are built with, and some of them are like yours, where it's like, no, just use the existing stuff that's already there. If you're using Prusa, or they have their own Prusa slicer. I'm trying to think, because I was just looking through some of it. What's the other one? Other one has their own. So Bamboo Labs has their own slicer, right? So yeah, depending on the system you're in, and the big thing I think you look at is like how open source or closed, how proprietary the parts and pieces and whatever.
Which I had heard that Bamboo was making some moves in some of their TOS.
Yeah. So what I understand that's about, and again, this is sort of hearsay, it's only like briefing through an article, but what I understand a lot of it was, I'm trying to think, now my brain is not thinking of it, but instead of, I think they were trying to limit, they noticed that there was a lot of security holes in the system. And by requiring what you're doing to like go into their ecosystem and keep it in their ecosystem until it gets to your printer, it shores up a lot of those security holes. And I think for, when you're doing a print farm and other stuff like that, a lot more of the commercialized end of it, I think it becomes really important. But if I recall, in our forums and 3D printers at that time, there was an article that was printed that we kind of had a link to. So yeah, we'll see. Unfortunately, I can't pull it up and look at it right now. But yeah, it's basically they were trying to shore up security weaknesses.
Okay.
That they're like, yeah, that could be bad. This is ways for people to get into your system, and we don't want to be responsible for that. So we can have one of two ways. Either you do it all yourself and good luck, in which case you're going to have a bad experience, or we tighten up, the control of that experience, and then we will have control. There will be no leaks, and we'll make sure you have a good experience. So they went that route, I think.
Okay. That's about it for me. Just working and settling in here to Raleigh. So if we have any Raleigh folks who listened in and a good hobby store or flying field that I need to go check out, let me know.
Yeah. Sign up for our Discord. There'll be a link in the doobly-doo.
Thank you, Matthew.
And then when you're in there, say, yeah, thank you, Matt Cole. Then go tell Joe. Joe, go here. You will not regret it. And then maybe you just tell me when you're going and I'll meet you there.
Sounds good.
I'm always up for going to visit a hobby store.
I found out there was one. So Rachel took me one that's kind of downtown. And it's...
Yeah, that one's a pretty big one. There's a lot in there, if I recall right.
And then there's one that's actually down the street from the apartment. Like a mile and a half.
It's like in a little strip mall. It looks kind of like every hobby store. I think they sell like tractor equipment or something. Like there's like the very beginning of it has like outdoor equipment.
I didn't see that.
I was like, that's a little weird. And then just inside that is like the normal hobby store. And they cater to all the different things. It's actually, I remember being in there. I happen to be doing something with the cat or the dog and going to the vet. And I had like an hour and a half or 3 hours to kill. So I'm like, well, let me get something to eat and find a hobby store. Because what else am I going to do with 3 hours?
Yeah. I made a run down to the gas station to get something to drink. And I was riding back. And I happened to look over and I see planes in the window and a sign that says something hobby. I was like,
nice.
I'm going to have to go.
That's a win. Yeah, do it. Do it. Why are you waiting? Hurry.
I know.
Why are we talking right now? Go. I'm kidding. All right. Is that it? I mean, that's pretty involved.
Yeah, I mean, that's all I really got at the moment.
Okay.
How about you?
Good.
What you been up to?
Good luck in the house search, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
I know that's what's coming next.
It's already started.
Yeah, it should. Good. Okay, for me, let's see. I mentioned that I was getting back into full scale, and I managed to finally coordinate lessons and all that stuff. And I've been in the air, I don't know, 4 or 5 times now.
Nice.
I managed to figure out my ish with the landings, I think. Very close to solo. And then the plane I'm training on just had an engine replacement, went in for an engine replacement. So I don't know how long that takes. If anybody knows how long that should take, it'd be awesome to know. I don't know. As I understand it, for the aviation school, it's top priority. So it'll be as short as it can be, but I don't know how long that'll be. It's a 172. So 172 mic model. So outside of the full scale, which actually has been really fun, it's been really welcoming to get back into it. I found a great instructor. He kind of reached out to me as we were kind of setting up, making sure I had all the things in the system proper. And we just got to talking, and he's like, "Oh, that sounds like you're in a great journey. Like, I can't wait to see where it takes you. If you've got openings, I'd love to be your instructor, but if you know somebody, go to it. If you're excited,
Right.
But I got some time, so and I'm like, no, it sounds good. So we got hooked up, and we've been playing. He's a great instructor, so thank you, Peter. Let's see. We had a snow day.
We did.
And it knocked out the kids from 3 days for snow, and I had snow on my lawn for 2. But I did not finish my snow speeder, which is done-ish. I put it together. It actually looks really good. So I need to... I'm going to put some power system in it and see what kind of nonsense I can get up to on the lawn on like a wet morning or something, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll see, in the meantime, because I'm not going to wait. I'm not going to hold my breath for another snow. We'll be here for years.
Hopefully not. That was part of my my happiness moving further north was like maybe once a year, twice a year snow.
Yeah, you'll get some. Yeah, you get up in Raleigh. You get more than we do down here in Fayetteville.
Yeah, because down South
There's like
Carolina, Sumter area, it was like once every 7 years.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's kind of what it is here, but I think up in Raleigh they get a little bit more. But, I mean, Fayetteville just is a heat bowl. I don't know how, but it's like the heat just kind of comes in and settles.
It's 95.
I'm like, how is it snowing here, and here? And it's like not.
Yeah, something about
At
Interstate
all in
95
town.
running right by you.
I don't think that's it. I just... Anyway, but I've been kind of... So what I've... Okay, so big piece... Bilgeroy has started. I'm going to try to get this out in the next day or 2. So that gives you 3 weeks to try and build 4 planes by the end of the month. I urge you to join in if you haven't heard about it. I talked about it a year ago and the year before that. I've been doing it for like 7 years. It's on the flight test forums. It's kind of to highlight how easy the flight test build style is. I don't really care what you're building. Maybe you build balsa. Maybe you build hang gliders out of popsicle sticks. I don't care. Build aviation stuff. Have fun. Join the club, or join us. And all we're doing is just, build. We're kind of like in this little challenge community, and we're just having fun. So join in, and we'll have build nights on this on the Aviationrcnoob Discord at least once a week. And if you're listening and you want to just join in because you want to see what's going on, cool. Hopefully we'll get a couple of those jokers joining in as well, building their madcap race to try to finish and fly 4 planes before the end of the month. I know I'm already a week behind because I'm in the middle of trying to clear off my dining room table, which I put a bunch of like honey-do projects, like, oh, that one's just a little bit more, and I got to go fly them, right? So let's say I've got like the F-117 is fixed, so I can go fly it. I've got some gladiators I've been working on. Unfortunately, I piled a bunch of stuff on top of it, so I'm kind of working through those. The Wonder Bread Wonder has been restored. I bought a bunch of head tracker parts. I can't wait to do head tracking stuff. I built that snow speeder for whatever dumb reason because, I needed more to do. I have a secret project I'm also working on. What is the plane that is on the back of the USS North Carolina?
Don't know.
My brain is going to Corsair and is not the Corsair. It's one of those catapult launch deals off the back. We covered it. Had a whole half an episode and a whole history section devoted.
Yeah, I remember because you're talking. It was
3-4 years ago.
like the carrier would zigzag to bust up the wake for it.
Right, so it could land on the water and then there'd be a float. Yeah, I got that. Yeah, so that plane is still existing. And I said, I finally found I printed out a motor block that fits perfectly in there. So I put it in there, and now I'm kind of wiring it back up, and I'm going to restore the one canopy, and I'm going to give it another attempt at flight. That was actually a build-joy success. I'll call it success, except it didn't really fly well. But the build itself was a new building style, and it was successful. That was 3-4 years ago, and I all I had was the one day to fly it, and it was 15 knots gusting to 30, and it was impossible. I don't know what. There's no way I was going to fly. Anyway, so I'm eager to give that one another try. It's been on the back burner for freaking ever, so I'm eager to give that a go. And if it flies, it flies, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. I've got the Drachenflieger. I've got to glue the motor mount back on and just give it a go. Turn on the throttle and heave it and see if I can have that fly for a little while. I don't even care if it flies for long. It'll be joyous. Then I'll pull the motors off. I'll pull the servos out, and I'll get rid of that monstrosity. And then I can move on to other monstrosities.
The thing that you were referencing earlier is the OS2U Kingfisher.
Kingfisher, yes. I love those. That's a really cool-looking bird. And I remember I flew it in... They had one of the models in one of the simulators. And it's a beginner. I mean, it's a beginner flyer. It's gentle. It's actually a really good model. So I was hoping that this thing that I designed would be just as easy to fly. But don't do it in 30 knots, gusting 30-knot winds. So,
what?
I know. Who would have believed it, But I was young. I knew nothing. Now I know almost
You know nothing, Jon
this
Snow.
much. I know almost nothing now, so I don't know what's changed. I'm looking in the other room to see if there's other projects. I know there's a couple more, but I've been working on stuff to kind of clear that out. I'm going to be working back to my disc planes. I found a video again on another way to configure a drone, like a little pocket drone, so that it can fly a plane style flying with the control board and set up just straight off the drone. So if I can get that, I can have a bunch of little ones flying around.
Okay.
So that my smaller scale one can have little discs flying around. That could be fun. So I think that's going to be some of the Build-Joy projects. Work on a couple other things there. We'll see. I'm so eager to do so many other things. This is in my way. Part of me wants to take a trash bag and start pulling components and just trashing everything.
Hi.
Or give them to Joe. Joe, you take these.
Yeah.
Your wife would kill you right now.
Don't give me any of the airframes.
No. I mean, I'm keeping the components. The goal is to get rid of the airframe because it's just taking so much darn room. But, oh my God, I don't know.
You can't.
We'll figure it out. I'm trying to just bust through some of the really big planes that I built that I was a little bit close to flying, and then it's nope, didn't finish. So it's let me finish those up and fly them, and if they do, cool, and I'll fly them until crash them.
So you're finally starting to reduce those plane racks.
I'm trying really hard.
I've been telling you
It
for
is
5 years.
But it's against everything I have in my bones. It's really terrible. It's like trying to jump up a waterfall. It's really difficult.
You'll feel better
And,
when
you
you
know-
don't have that mountain of planes in front of you.
Or behind me, or to my side,
Yeah.
or above, hanging from the ceiling, or tucked under the tables, or in the other bedroom. Oops. Because I didn't have enough planes, I went out to the hobby store for the Wienermobile project, looking at a base for that. I have one. I was looking at a second one, and they didn't have it. So we happened to look around, and there was those 40 millimeter Tomcat F-14 or F-15, F-15. Oh my God, why am I blanking? F-15, you know
F-14 Tomcat.
F-14 Tomcat, yeah, the Tomcat with the swing wing, and it's like it's small relatively, but it's got a stabilizer, it's got safe AS3X, and that is Amy's favorite plane.
Oh.
And I told her, I said, and she's like, I'm not. She was with me. She's like, she's the one who's been pushing me to go through this stack, and she's like, I'm not going to stop you from buying one because it was on sale. I'm just saying, I'm not going to help you here. And I'm like, you already are. I'm going to have to get one. She's like, no. I'm like, call this incentive for getting off the crutch of the Aero Scout. Get good enough with the Aero Scout where you feel comfortable pulling off the safe and all that stuff, and then we'll get you flying the Tomcat. And she's like, oh
boy.
But yeah. She was very excited about it. And honestly, I'm excited for her to be able to try it and feel comfortable with it. But it turns out it has AS3X and safe. It probably flies almost like an Aero Scout. Without, until you take out all the stuff. So, well, good. I don't know. There's more, but I think that's enough. Just know I'm busy in the hobby. I'm excited about planes. Oh, and then the other full-scale thing is the guy with the kit for the kit plane, the quickie. It's actually Q2.
Right.
He's back, and we're just trying to coordinate weekends that don't have either a million family things going on or a million inches of snow. Because to get there, I have to drive through the hills of West Virginia and into like the hilly area of Pittsburgh. So I'm not looking to do that unnecessarily. So kind of waiting for a good weekend. Last couple have been either bad on my end or bad on his end. So
that's how that goes.
Still talking. Yeah, he's not plussed about it, so it's all good. All right, so why don't we move on?
Let's talk about some aviation news.
Okay.
Oh, well, yeah, you can go ahead and do that. Sorry.
Okay, no worries. So look, if you are liking what you're hearing, we would love it if you could support us with a review. Go on to Apple Podcast. We'll provide a link in the doobly-doo. Or just go to any one of our videos and make a comment. Let us know what you're thinking, how you like the episode, things you'd like to see us do, all of those. Hey, and if you do that last one in episode 100, you'll be entered in for the giveaway contest. Heyo. All right, and don't forget, we've got a YouTube channel, youtube.com/Aviationrcnoob. That's one word at the end there. And it'll get to all of the audio episodes, but the last handful also have a video episode, and they'll be labeled as such. Please watch, especially those last ones of the video. I can't even tell you how invaluable some of the things we've included in the video is. The aerodynamics, the ultralight one, the one on composites, the interview with Al Bowers is just priceless. It's incredible.
I like that guy.
I'm really excited. He's incredible. I feel so blessed to even have talked to him, let alone known him in any capacity. So Al, thanks.
Yeah, if you're listening.
And also, if you, right, and if you can, consider joining our Discord community. It's an incredible group of people who do nothing but talk airplanes. If you're like me, who only have one or two people you can talk airplanes with at all hours of the night, join the Discord. You have a whole couple hundred people who can talk airplanes at all hours of the night, which means you'll get that out of your system, and your loved ones will thank you.
How many people do we have in the general channel these days?
I don't know. If I recall right, we had a couple.
About 122
active in the general.
Yeah, about 122 members.
Okay, good.
And then there's
and growing
between 20 and 40 on at any given time.
Nice. Yeah, and it's not inactive. It's not like people are just sort of lurking. It's people are actively working on projects or trying to help each other out. So, you name the topic, it's available, including just geeking out about full scale stuff, whatever.
Yeah. Speaking of projects, shout out to Sasha for that 3D tool end changer he's trying to do. Have you been following
nice.
that?
I have been out of it the last couple days, but I see a little bit of what he's doing, and that's awesome. That's the kind of innovation. That's why there's open source stuff, so that people can go the next step.
Mm-hmm.
And Sasha's an incredible kid. He really, and I call him a kid, and I say that loosely, really, because he's doing amazing things.
Yeah, he impresses
So
the heck
hats
out
off
of
to
me.
you. Yeah, me too. So good. Again, we'll have a link for the Discord and the doobly-doo. If you're going to join the Build Your Way, I'll include a link for that. Go onto the Flight Test forums. If you have an account, if you don't have one, make one, and then sign up and join the fray. We'll be doing build nights in Discord. So, all right, well, let's talk about the last, 2 weeks. There have been more aviation events that I've noticed. And maybe it's the algorithms picking up on me looking at one and then deciding to show me all of them. I mean, that could very well be, but it really just seems... It started with, like, the drone invasion from New Jersey, right?
Yeah, that was a whole thing.
Right. And then it went from the... And then it was also, like, the DJI drone ban by different states and different government agencies.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was government-wide. So the U.S. government is banning the purchase of drones, and that's kind of through the Commerce Department. We'll talk about that in a second. But they started, like, those are the first two I started seeing, right? And then it was like the next week there was the fires in California were going strong, and there was a collision of a drone with one of the fire planes, and it downed it for a day. They got that fixed really quick. And it turns out, like, the damage was minor, thankfully, right?
Mm-hmm.
There was a hole in the leading edge of the wing, and it got and there's a little bit of damage to the structure that got repaired, and then the leading edge got repaired as well, recovered. Not good by any means at all. So again, if you think you're like, oh, can't wait to get some footage of this, like, just don't, unless you're far enough away. Like, really, I guess they were looking at one thing and got hit by the next plane. So, not worth it. Not worth their lives. It certainly isn't worth the footage you're going to get. And that footage will be incriminating. But followed shortly by that, right? There was the California Palisades. In Alaska, there was a flight where there was a fire in the back of the plane, I think in one of the luggage compartment areas. And then an F-35, like in the next couple days, had a crash landing where the pilot had to eject. There were no deaths there. All of these, there may be injuries, maybe, but there were no deaths, which is great. And then, unfortunately, in the last, week and a half, I don't think I wrote down the dates, sadly, but there was a collision of 2 aircraft in D.C., and there was an aircraft that had a failure that caused the death of everybody on board as they kind of missiled into North Philadelphia.
Yeah, you were telling me about that one. I didn't hear anything or see anything on that one.
Turn off your mic and look at that. Is all I'm going to... Let me, if you want, I'll start talking about... So I'm not going to give too many details about the Palisades Parkway stuff, the Alaskan flight, and the F-35. I'm going to go into a little bit more detail about the D.C. flight. That's a little bit more current. And then the North Philadelphia site. Because to me, that would be the airport that I would fly into and out of to drop my kids off if I were to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, it very much hit home a little bit too close. And I was like, oh, my God. So let me go over them really quick. And then, or maybe we should go, do you want to go through the RC events or the full-scale events first?
You were going through the whole list. I see. Well, I'll speak to the one that I can speak on.
Okay.
Which was that was the DC? No, that was New Jersey, months ago.
Was it months ago?
Yeah, it's been several months.
It suddenly became popular. And I think it was as we were interviewing Al, the stuff started to kick up some dust. Even though it was old old news almost?
Well, because it was ongoing, and yeah, so basically over New Jersey there was a lot of unidentified craft that were being seen. And nobody knew what they were. Nobody knew where they were coming from, where they were going. It was all super suspicious. At the time, the FAA did come out and make a statement about it. I'll be honest, I missed hearing about that statement. But the FAA...
Oh, it was the quietest statement FAA has ever made, it seems.
And this was still in the Biden White House time. Biden tried to, hey, everything's fine, it's good. But
nothing to see here.
Yeah.
Everybody move along.
But rumor mills, internet, media, misinformation. Essentially, it all boils... There was all these unidentified craft over New Jersey, and there became a big hubbub about it, and I was getting upset, too. Like, hey, what's going on up there? Like, this is my country. Who's flying over it? Why don't we know what
Drones
this is? Yeah.
Drones are evil.
And these drones, it made it sound like these were, military-grade sized drones that were flying over our space, and ended up being, after the fact, now FAA has come out a little more loudly and said, we know about the vast majority of these. They were approved for recreation or research purposes or any number of things. A lot of them were drones, others were commercial aircraft, but the FAA was aware of the vast majority of any of those planes that were in the air. And it was just something that got blown out of proportion. And, misinformation, conspiracies, this, that. We're not going into politics, but any number of ways you want to look at that, it just got out of hand, is what that boiled down to.
It was interesting. Like, when you looked at the news sources, they kept showing pictures of commercial airlines. I mean, you could tell, like, these are airplanes. Like, how would you confuse that with a drone? But okay. And then they had a couple drones that they would show. Of course, they're the commercially available ones. And then I remember when they started showing those, Ethan's like, yeah, you want to see one? I've got like 500 pictures. That's what I used to do. Like, and they're all approved by the FAA if there's any variance beyond what's allowed. You know what I mean? Like, these are all perfectly legit flights. These, as a matter of fact, I probably conducted half of these. The company I was working with, like, this isn't uncommon. It was, we were hired by the government to do the things, to test a thing, whatever it is. And it's like, I don't know why everybody's freaking out and why this is suddenly new. Like, it's been going on for a while. So it was interesting to kind of hear after all the hubbub became hubbub,
And then it went really quiet for a long time.
Yeah.
I was like,
it just sort of,
I remember, like, whatever came of that? What was that? Yeah, so.
It turns out drones weren't evil, so it's not much of a story.
Okay.
Right. Speaking of, I'm going to go over two drones are evil segments here.
Okay.
I don't know about that. But
try
besides
not
the one...
too strong of a spin on it.
No. What I'm going to do is, we talked a little while back about Philly Drone Life. There's a gentleman who had a channel called Philly Drone Life on YouTube, and he had basically been called to the carpet by the FAA for a number of infractions, and when they totaled all of the different infraction violation costs up, they were up to it was like over $200,000.
Oh yeah, he was the guy that they chose to throw the book at.
Well, I mean, he had like 100 and some odd violations.
Oh yeah,
right?
he had it coming, but
right, and so they kind of went through a lot of those things, and a lot of it had to do with the fact that he posted his videos and he wasn't masking any of the information or any of the whatevers. Like, it was clear it was him flying the drone. It was clear that he was higher than allowed. It was in areas that were flew over the William Penn statue in Philadelphia. He flew over controlled airspace near PHI, which is the Philadelphia International Airport. He flew over people and cars. All of those are no-nos. And some of them were worse no-nos than others.
Wasn't he also doing multi-mile long-distance FPV? Or was that a different guy?
Yeah, beyond line of sight FPV. I'm not really sure. He's not the only person doing that kind of thing. But he ignored repeated attempts to get education and inform about the regulations, and with the intent to have him comply with the regulations. And he just typically, it looked like he ignored it. I don't know. It was kind of in my peripheral, so I didn't see it. But this is like I'll see if I can post a link. Actually, I think we have a link to a video that covers in detail kind of what happened. I think Drone 51 just released something, and it happened at the end of this last month. There was a ruling on this. So his cost of doing this, it ends up he didn't get, at least according to this, it didn't seem like he was actually given the fine, or it wasn't remanded. I don't know what that's called. I'm not a legal guy. What do you want? But he was banned from ever legally using SUAs or UASs of any sort, period. His YouTube channel was removed. It's already been done, including all of his content. So he cannot use any of the content that he ever had on any of his YouTube movie, any of those movies from that YouTube channel. And he has any of the SUASs that he has that had been seized are all now abandoned and forfeit. So anything that he got taken by the government, they are gone for him. And even if he had it, I mean, he can't use it. I guess he could sell it, get some money for it, maybe. But yeah, so that is the sentence for his, we'll call it vagrant disregard for the regulations. I mean, you can use whatever term, but that's kind of me summarizing it. Now, as a guy, like just listening to a couple videos of him having conversations with people, it doesn't seem like he's intentionally crappy. He seems like a pretty decent guy just talking to me. It's a guy you can meet down the street. I think he's like a lot of us, didn't really appreciate the, like no taxation without representation kind of stuff, right? It's like I don't feel like my voice was heard when regulations were crammed down our throat. So, why should I comply with a thing that I didn't get a say in anyway, right?
But that's not how laws work.
No. I know. I'm just saying that's kind of the mentality and the attitude that he took, and consequently, vagrantly just disregarded a lot of the regulations and did what. Again, it was an entertainment channel, and entertained. He was entertaining, right? He just wanted to make people happy, and and kind of.
I get that. The flip side of that is,
no, I'm with you.
You and I are. I will say we're small time, and we want to have a good time, and we want to play with our toys, but we are also careful, and we're careful.
We try to be.
And we try to be up to speed on what any requirements that as we do this podcast might come to bear on us. That we got to make sure the things that we do are not profit oriented and that as we're just out playing, that we're doing so we can abide by and do and exist within what's allowed. And honestly, while I feel for it, we have had those conversations, and they're long-standing conversations about don't do this, don't do that, here's the rules. Honestly, I take this as one of those mess around and find out situations.
Yeah, that's almost exactly what the one video will kind of summarize it as. F around and find out. So, yeah. I feel like the penance fit what he could do and what would affect him, right? Like as I understand it, he wasn't rolling in money or anything. The fine, his channel wasn't so crazy that he was, sitting with.
So they haven't ruined him, but they have taken this away
financially, from him. But they have ruined this aspect of his enjoyment in life, right? Like this is something a part of for him. It was like this is the one thing that brought me joy and pulled me out of a desperate downward spiral emotionally. Like this saved my life, so why would I stop? It's just going to go downhill from here. Like why? But at the same point, it's like, well, you kind of.
You have to balance
got yourself back down. Yeah, now you got back down. Anyway, I'm not going to talk about the aspect of that. I just wanted you to know we've covered that story before, and this has finally come to the conclusion of it, and to understand what was sentenced. And then with that, I guess, coupled with that, and kind of in that line, the government has put we talked about it briefly, a ban on DJI drones being purchased by the government because they are a Chinese company, and the data that gets pulled from the units gets transferred through, it gets filtered through the Chinese base site. And consequently, it is now a security breach, right?
Okay.
Right. So if the information we get on our drones and our DJI doesn't stay with us, but in fact gets sent to China and then back to us, it can be intercepted and used in whatever way. We don't even know, right? We have no control. We have no understanding. It's a black box and it's not secure, which is why it is banned by government agencies, and a lot of state agencies like fire and police use DJI drones. They're the best product that's simple and available and cost effective to do, to aid in the work that they do. And so there's a lot of fight kind of about how that's going to work. But the Department of Commerce has issued an advanced notice of proposed rulemaking, which is basically a request of 50 questions to help shape the language on the drone ban. They're going to make it. They just want to know, how do you need it so that it doesn't, they want input from the public. The deadline is March 4th, 2025. We'll share a link to the Department of Commerce rule and a video kind of highlighting the basics of it. And it's basically, I think, Ken Herron, and he's got a legal constituent that he goes around and kind of fights for drone advocacy in the legal system. So he's kind of bringing that to the attention. And I happened to just catch it. And I was like, that's something I want everybody at least be aware of. Mm-hmm. Go take a look. I can't urge you enough. Just take a look. And there's going to be language probably in the next couple weeks about how we can send a unified message as a community to point out what a lot of the language will do to this recreation. Because it's going to extend more than just DJI, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's going to end up messing a lot of things up. Now, half of the problem with this is the way, the sneaky part about it is the way it's being done is it won't have to go through some of these changes. They're just going to basically say, and this is what we're doing. And they don't have to actually listen. You can make comments and tell them, we don't like this for this, but ultimately they just have to tell you, yeah, we heard your stuff, we're not doing anything. And then go forward and make sure this is them telling you what they're doing. Mm-hmm. It's not really about, this is your way to fight back. It's like, no, we're just letting you know, a little ahead of time. It's a courtesy. That's it. So, and it's not through the FAA. It's Department of Commerce. So it's a whole different thing, whole different rule set. It looks like it's very similar, though. It looks like the rule structure, the rule modification structure is similar to the FAA. So it's worth at least looking at and seeing what kind of issues. I know I'm going to delve deeper into it in the next coming month here, and we'll do a follow-up next time if we can. And then I guess that brings us to the 2 full-scale aviation. I'm just going to cover it briefly. I urge you, if you want more details, they're being investigated currently. There's a lot of videos on what the heck. It was shocking to me. So in D.C., there was flight AA5342, which was a CRJ 500 on approach to runway 33. And there was a Black Hawk coming southbound along the river doing a training mission, and they collided over top of the Potomac River, and all souls have perished. I believe it's 67 souls have been recovered so far. I believe that accounts for all of them. The collision happened like under 500 AGL, 500 feet AGL, which doesn't give anybody a chance. And honestly, if you look at it, I don't think anybody had really much of a chance. Once the plane got hit, you saw kind of, if you've ever seen like a tail-heavy plane wobble as it comes down, that's what when it got hit, it wobbled down into the Potomac. But it was on final approach. So it was going real slow. It had no chance to recover, even if, it's just a tragedy all around. it looks like the training mission, the Black Hawk operators were under night vision goggles. I imagine that posed all sorts of other things going on. It seemed like this is my opinion. It seems like they were asked, the Black Hawk is on UHF and might have this backwards, but the CRJ is on VHF. There are different channels, right? They are different systems that are talking. So when they're squawking to the tower hears them both, but the CRJ does not hear the Black Hawk, and vice versa. So they did not know of each other except what the tower told them. The tower notified the Black Hawk that there was a CRJ coming in and asked them if they had visual contact. The Black Hawk confirmed. And it's very possible because there was another, what looked like a CRJ or something similar, CRJ 500, leaving the airport. So it's possible they had that one in their sights, mistaking it for the one coming in. And consequently said, yeah, we have it in sight. So the tower is like, okay, great. And at those elevations, a lot of the GPS stuff isn't entirely accurate. So it turns out the plane also had a lot of the ice skating team Olympic hopefuls on board. So you'll see a number of videos for professional ice skaters talking about the friends that they lost on that flight. So crazy tragedy. I can't even. It's hard to watch. It's hard to even think. I know accidents happen in aviation. It's kind of the nature of the difficulty of what it is. Although, if you think about how many flights happen every day, every year, there's so few flights. It's some of the safest ways to travel. Mm-hmm. So just this kind of thing is so front and center that it's hard to remember that. But please do. In Pennsylvania, out of the regional North Philadelphia airport, there was another, it looked like a small commuter jet. It was a medical plane. It looked like a similar kind of, not a CRJ 500 because it had fewer passengers, so it was like a business jet. There were 6 souls on board. There's a little girl who had some sort of advanced cancer that had been treated successfully, and her mom were going home with a medical team. They were going via Nebraska or Kansas or something, and then eventually going to Mexico. And then shortly after the takeoff, they were doing a contact handoff between Northeast Airport Tower, and they kind of received okay, we're heading out to whatever this direction. And then usually they say, okay, well, we're going to hand you off to the Philadelphia International Airport Tower. And what you do is you basically squawk over, let them know that, hey, we're entering your airspace, get permission, and then they track you. And you ask them to track you through their airspace. Mm-hmm. Right? Is usually how that goes. And so the Philadelphia airport was notified, and then they were expecting to receive the request from that medical plane, and it had never been received. So after the first call for, hey, are you coming into our space? Do you hear us? About, if you look at the kind of the timestamps, it looks like at that point something had happened, and it, based on what I saw, it looked like the plane was already on fire as it turned into basically a ballistic missile coming into the ground. And then because it was filled with fuel, it was a massive explosion. It's visually stunning. Kind of my jaw, I said, holy snot, about 3 or 4 different times as I watched it and just couldn't believe my eyes. It honestly reminds me, Joe, of when I do an inverted pass and accidentally pull up. Yeah. That had that trajectory. Had like a slight curve heading directly to perpendicular with the earth. Mm. But there was clearly something on fire. There's apparently explosives department and drug enforcement or something was also investigating along with the NTSB. So all of these accidents are being investigated, of course. And just absolute tragedy. I'm hoping this kind of thing slows down for a little bit so people can kind of regain a little bit more confidence. A lot of the pilots that are kind of talking about the incidents, that's kind of what their channels usually do. They're like, I can't, I literally make 10, X amount of flights every day. And I'm one of thousands of pilots all making those flights to all the different destinations all around the world. These are, a handful. And, in a month, the percentage is astoundingly small. So you are incredibly safe. And this seemed to be kind of a fluke happening. And who knows what it is. I can't wait to see kind of what happened, because it seems like there's something very out of the ordinary that happened with that flight. So, hopefully we can maybe shift this to some better news.
Do you have some better news?
More upbeat topic. No, sadly, no. Other than the F-35 pilot, survived, and there was no lasting damage to the fireplane.
Oh, that's good.
They were able to return to service within the next day. So that's good, especially with the way the fires were. So, yeah, that was good. Anyway.
No, not to make light of. Just.
No. But it's also there's two things that are happening on this episode, Joe. And I know we're not going to deliberate it too much, but it's our anniversary. It's our we're about to begin our 5th year doing this podcast.
That's crazy to me.
So, happy anniversary, Joe.
Happy anniversary, Matt.
It's been good.
It has been.
I hope you guys are enjoying it.
Well,
if you are enjoying it, you can always give us that comment on iTunes, or you can, if you want to help us out financially, you can go to the Patreon at aviationrcnoob.com. No, wait. Our website is aviationrcnoob.com, and Patreon is what? Patreon/aviationrcnoob?
Patreon.com/aviationrcnoob.
See, you do that so well.
In getting to a lighter conversation and in a bit of tradition at this point for a new year, let's talk briefly on the main topic, which will be getting started in the hobby. You said you had come up with 5 rules for starting in the RC hobby.
Yeah. Okay. So it's a new year. You're like, you know what? I've been having my eye on RC aviation for a long time. I'm going to do it. I'm going to start this year. And so what should you have in mind when you're trying to gear yourself up to start, right? There's a lot of amazing resources online, a lot of incredible videos. You've got companies like Flight Test, eFlight, like Hobby Zone, and a couple other manufacturers who specialize in having aircraft available that are easy for the beginner. Mm-hmm. But I think what you should think more is, what am I looking for to make sure that I have fun and success in the hobby? And so these are like the 5 rules you got to think about. Like when you're like, I want to do that, you got to ask yourself these 5 things. Is it easy, right? You're new. Everything's going to be hard. So it should be easy, right? It should have a forgiving control regime. This should be easy to fly. It should be naturally stable. So like the wing should have the dihedral. That means that one wing is a little, it's like in a slight V shape, right? It should have some sort of gyroscope or protective technology. I know eFlight or whatever has the safe technology, or AS3X, which it limits how much bank you can do. So you can't get yourself into like, oops, I rolled over and now I'm heading straight into the ground. With my brand new plane that I spent all my paper money on, or whatever it is. Right? So it stops you from doing really, really, stuff that'll kind of maybe end your hobby before it starts. Look for things if they have clear instructions. There's reviews everywhere. And listen to what they say. A lot of the guys will be like, this is a great plane, but the instructions were a pain. Like, this was not easy to put together. Or these instructions, this really couldn't be any simpler. And there's a couple of things like that. F-14, other than some of the setup, even the jet I just bought. I pulled that thing out. I had that thing together in a half an hour, and all the throws I was double checking. Almost all of it was ready to go. I was impressed at how little, like absolutely little I had to do. For a jet, I was impressed. That, to me, that's like a beginner jet. A jet is pretty advanced. But if you buy an Aero Scout, you just almost literally have to attach the wings and plug in a battery and go. Right? Mm-hmm. That comes with the especially the one that comes with the transmitter. Transmitter is already connected to the plane. It's already, all the buttons are doing exactly what they're supposed to. They double checked all the throws. It is literally ready to plug in, put the wing on, and off you go. So Narrow Scout is great. And Easy, the Easy Pack. Those are the 2 little motors. It's lightweight and so simple, right? That's another thing. Easy and simple. Simple means few steps to bring it ready for flight. You shouldn't have to be fiddling with stuff for 45 minutes. Maybe you love it. Maybe that's awesome, but it's your first thing. Don't do that. You want something that goes from box to the air and as minimal steps as possible. You can look at reviews. You can ask the hobby store. You can ask people who are already at the flight line that you might want to go fly at. Few parts, easy assembly, great instructions. You shouldn't spend more than 30 minutes getting it ready to go. Slow. That plane, you're new. You don't know how fast things are going to go. You want a plane that's slow. It has a very good slow flight regime. That means that it can speed up maybe, but when you slow it down, it'll still fly controllably, it'll still fly well. You want something, so slow flight is great for beginners because it gives you more time to react. New pilots are going to make mistakes, and a slow flight will give you more time to recover and give you a better chance to actually recover from them. Also, if you're going slow, the crashes aren't going to have as much energy, which means they're more likely to survive the crash. So you can pick it up and try it again. Durable. Make sure it's made out of materials that are durable. If you've got this little lightweight gossamer thing, right? I mean, the lightweight is probably going to save it more often than not, but if it's made out of like 0.5 millimeter threads with a little bit of plastic and hold it all together, chances are if you crash that, it's going to turn into
confetti.
Shreds, confetti, right? Well, you want a durable material. A good example is EPO foam and EPP foam. They're kind of rubberized foams, EPP more so. Those foams are incredible, especially EPP, incredibly durable. Like if you've ever been to Lidl, the grocery store, they occasionally, like in the summer, they'll have a glider. And it's, they're fun colors or whatever. And you can bend the wings in on itself and let go and they'll come back.
Oh, wow.
Right? You can throw it. I've watched kids directly throw it into the dirt as hard as they can because they think they're throwing it into the air and they don't release it right and it just
Boink.
Straight in. And it bounces and you pick it up and you throw it again. Like incredibly durable. Amy's F-22 is made out of that. It's this little, that's almost like an Easy Pack plane. Little, it's got those little tiny little motors and it's got this almost hollow rubber cone. But she has had a lot of different, unsuccessful flights with it, but she's able to pick it up every single time. Same with that C-130, that little C-130 or freighter that the flight test has. It's durable. It's made out of the material that's not going to bust. Or you may mold it on a material that's inexpensive, right? That's what flight test kind of specializes in. The materials are almost inconsequentially cheap. If you break it, you're not out any money. You're maybe out some time, but you gain experience when you rebuild, right? So it's not a complete loss. So durable. Look for the materials, make sure they're durable. And ask. I mean, if you're not sure, ask. Balsa probably isn't your best first plane, right? Fiberglass, not a good idea. Flying a jet, probably a bad plan. They go fast. That's why they're no good. Fun. Most importantly, probably the most important thing you want to make sure is this known to be a fun plane? That means, is it capable enough that when you kind of get better at it, you can still do fun things with it? Like I can turn my Aero Scout protections off of it, and I can do a lot of really dumb things with it. I mean, a lot of really dumb things, a lot of fun things, right? But it should be fun. You shouldn't be stressing the whole time you're in the sky, right? You should have fun.
Isn't that half the fun,
That's the
though?
focus. That is the whole
Oh, God,
point.
oh, God,
That's
oh,
all
God,
the
oh,
fun.
God.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, that might be part of why you're in it, right? The excitement of it. And it is. However, it's important. Don't lose sight that this is a hobby. It's supposed to be fun. If you're not having fun, you maybe isn't the hobby for you, or maybe you're thinking about it wrong. I know I was, and then I started watching some of the flight test videos, and when they would take a plane and they'd crash into the side of a building and crack in half, they'd laugh their butts off. They'd high-five each other, pick it up, and then go glue it back together, right? That's part of the durability. You want to have something that, even if it does break, you should be able to fix it pretty easily. Hot glue. If it can be hot glued back together, you're almost guaranteed that that's a good plane to have.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, I mean, that's it. Simple. 5 things: easy, simple, slow, durable, and fun. If you keep those things in mind when you're picking your first plane, I think you're going to have a great time in the hobby, and you're more likely to keep going at it and growing in the hobby as you get better and more skilled. So I want you to keep in this hobby. I love it, Joe. I know you love it.
I do. I just don't get to do it a whole lot these days, but I do.
Well, you're almost there.
We're getting there.
You're getting there. And I know when you can, you will. We're going to be a pile of idiots having a great time. I know.
The only thing I'll say to those 5 rules...
Do you have anything to add?
Maybe modify. So you're simple. You're kind of encouraging more the direction of like kit builds, and I've been by hobby shops, and
Sure.
I know what those kits cost. Maybe the real simple ones are a lot cheaper, but I've seen really not a whole lot out of a hobby shop that's inexpensive. Which can be a barrier. So it is a financial trade-off to be considered for how simple you want it to be, because you can pay some money and have it come out the box ready to fly, or if you want to skimp on that for your first little bit, or hey, I'm going full tilt into the flight test methodology, then okay, bear in mind that simple idea is, as you presented it, those kits cost money. You can have a blast and get them cheaper. Go look up an old fogey from Flight Test. If you want to buy a kit to make it easier, go buy an old fogey kit. I think you can get those for like $45 or something.
I think
because
so.
If you haven't got it,
or you can make it at home for $5 if you can print out the plans and have patience.
Right. And so it's all a balance between the two. But I can tell you, as far as simple goes, the old fogey is simple, so it still meets that criteria. It's a
There's a reason why I made 4. Last builder where I made 4 old fogies.
It's a conversation I'm starting to have with somebody that I know through work who is interested in the hobby, and it is, okay, where do you ultimately want to spend your money in this hobby? And he wants to get his kid involved as well. And so, okay, we got to look at that transmitter, also looking at something to do with a buddy box, which Radio Master I love the Radio Master. Radio Master has their now Box Crush series, I think it is.
Okay. They have a wide range now that spans cost.
Yeah.
Your cost gambit from $50 or even lower up.
I'm sure you could get an even cheaper controller. Those Crushes, they still got a little bit of price tag, like $50-$60 on them, because they still have the onboard electronics in the transmitter. Like, it's a proper transmitter. Look, I inherited one of those from my father-in-law.
Yep.
Not excited about the brand, but whoa. Just because of the price point.
But yeah, but I mean, it's what it is. I mean, that's a discussion we'll continue to have. But I'm just saying, to get in the right mindset, these are the things you need to be looking for. And I'll put inexpensive or cost as part of like the simple. It's inexpensive. Like, if you crash it, if it's inexpensive, you can buy more than one.
But the flip side of that is
keep learning
a lot
with
of times that inexpensive goes against that durable statement.
I know.
Don't get me wrong, the old fogey can certainly take a hit.
I've thrown my arrow. The Flight Test flying wing. Oh my God! I literally cracked it in half over a scoreboard because I was going fast into it. But generally, I can't tell you how many times I've nosed that into the ground. And they also have tips. Like, we can even share you tips to get planes like that far more durable. Even if you go to like a hobby store and get those I'll call them crappy, because when I was a kid, it was the reason why I didn't get into flying earlier, I think. Those foam ones that are molded foam, you chuck them, and if they land wrong, they crack in half, right?
Oh, I remember
you
those.
You can glue them. Yeah. Right. Yeah, we all do, right? And they're still there. You can get them for like $15 now, and they're great. They fly amazing, except when you don't know what you're doing, in which case they fly in a loop until they crash and break. But if you know what to do, you can make those things crazy durable, and you can learn so much with them for almost nothing. You know, just a little bit of extra packing tape or whatnot, things to kind of reinforce some basic areas, and you're off to the races. Or as I say in New Zealand, Bob's your uncle. So
I just wanted to
like.
put that counterpoint in there.
No,
as the one who got into the hobby on a shoestring budget.
No, I'm with you.
So
I'm with you. And I know, like, I kind of highlighted, like, I guess it's because when you're new to the hobby, you don't know at all, right? What's the first stop you go? The hobby store. Most people, like, oh, I don't know, but I'm going to go here because this is the store I go to find out.
Now, if you're...
And they're going to have all of those things, and they're going to have jets, and they're going to have these amazing-looking
cool
kits.
Things.
They're going to have...
And you know what?
They might even have pre-made models that have these like gassers in the front, and they're like, and it's like,
and
it's gonna be
if
exciting.
If you're gonna go by a hobby shop and look at this, don't be embarrassed to ask. I'm the kind of guy I want to go into the store. Yeah. I'm gonna walk in the store. I'm gonna look around, and I'll go back to the store 4 or 5 times, doing a little research every time I walk through because I'm not going to ask anybody.
Yeah.
Don't approach me. I don't want to talk to you. But then when I'm ready. I then go in, I walk in, I grab what I want, and I buy it. And the flip side of that is...
And that's what this is aimed for, is like if you're going in, if you set the right expectation, you'll be looking at the right things. So when you leave with the store without talking to anybody, you might have a plane that you can have success with.
Or, better option, you're new.
Make it yourself.
Talk to the guy at the register. He wants
that's a
to
great
help,
idea.
I promise you.
They want you to come back with a big smile on your face.
Oh, they do.
Saying, what's the next one? So, and that's it. I mean, that's a good ad, Joe. I really appreciate that.
Like I said, I just adding that shoestring option.
Nice. Well, I know if you have any questions about any of the things we talked about here, there will be links to all of the stuff we talked about. And when our website is really close to being up to date or updated, I'm going to take this list, and it's going to be one of the articles on the website, so you can go and look at it. I might even make like a PDF that you can just kind of, I don't know if it would be worthwhile, but basically, one of those like mental note. Always keep this in mind: easy, simple, slow, durable, and fun. If you have those in mind while you're trying to do the hobby, you're going to have a good time, especially as you're starting. So,
well, thank you for that, Matt.
Yeah. Happy New Year-ish, even though it's beginning of February now.
Right. All right. Well, do we have anything else we want to talk about before we wrap it up and get out of here?
I don't have any.
Okay.
Other than you do the normal run out, and then I think that'll be all we need.
Okay. Well, guys, as always, we thank you for tuning in and listening. We hope you've enjoyed listening to this episode as much as we have enjoyed sitting here and conversating and catching up, starting off the new year. If you're new to the hobby, we really hope this was beneficial to you, that last part of the conversation. And definitely feel free to join our Discord. If you have questions, jump in. Ask them. If Matt and I don't answer them, somebody in the Discord will answer them for you. We got guys who love this hobby and love to be a source of knowledge for other folks.
And there's no dumb questions. Nobody's going to point out and go like, "That's stupid. Go look it up yourself." That's not what our group's about.
No,
they want you to see success. They want to help you. We do too.
In my opinion, the only dumb question is the question that is asked that when you ask it, you're asking it for the purpose of being dumb. Because there are those people that will just ask the question knowing the answer. And they're just asking it to ask it. But no, if you have questions, jump into Discord, ask it. We got guys who would love to answer it. If Matt and I see it, we'll answer it. We'll have a link down in the doobly-doo for that. It looks like we have a Twitter X page that you're doing things
We
with?
do. We have a Twitter page. We also have an Instagram. How about I do this? Just in a little bit, you're going to be able to go to our website, and it'll have a link to all those things. But the Twitter one is x.com.
Speaking of, it
/
sounds like
noob _
Sorry. Sorry. No, you were saying x.com/noob_.
x.com / noob _ RC. If you want to see what I don't even understand it, so I'm just trying to post things there. When I try to post this stuff on Facebook, we have a Facebook account. That's where I try to post when we're having build nights and when new episodes are about to come out, and then I link to the website, the new episodes that come out, especially if they're video ones, because everybody loves videos.
Mm-hmm.
But no matter how you listen, we're glad you're here. We hope you stay in for the long haul, and we're looking forward to seeing you next time. Joe, is there anything else we need to add?
I think that's about it. I am looking forward to seeing what all Amy's done with the website. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, me too. It's some good stuff.
Sounds great.
All right, guys.
We'll catch y'all next time.
Till next time. Bye.
Bye.
Hit record.
We're hitting record. All right, am I launching this?
Yep. Yeah, if you want. Hold on. There, that's the one. A Department of Commerce proposed rule. It's Department of Commerce. This is weird. That's part of why it's like so sneaky.
Interesting.
Well, it's because it's banning the purchase of DJI drones.
Wow, what a link.
Yeah, there it is. That's a fucking link. There it is.
Language, sir.
No, we're recorded.